One of the key conventions that we continued to display in our video was the use of a rustic abandoned setting. Typically, indie genre music videos are set in an alternative location to progress the narrative and create enigmas. We used the prison as our location choice, which was both interesting and progressed our narrative. Choosing this location also helped us to use other conventions typically seen in an indie genre video, an enigma code. Through using this location, we were able to get the audience to question how and why the protagonist ends up in such a location. Not only does this give the narrative more depth, but it also created a much more interesting viewing experience for the viewers, immersing them in the narrative. This is because the viewer is actively engaged with the video as they are waiting for the answer to their question.
Keep my hands on myself.
The costume that we used in the performance-based half of the video is also routinely used in indie genre music videos. When choosing the costume, we decided to use clothes that would not commonly be seen in a music video, so to express the genre of the music. It's fairly uncommon for an artist to be seen wearing glasses in their own video, and so we chose to include this form of costume. Throughout the entire video, we used a lot of jump cuts. This is very typical of an indie genre video. This was done in order to keep the cuts up to pace with the song, but also show the time passing between each scene, which is very important for us considering the jumps we kept making between past and present. The same technique is seen in a lot of indie genre music videos to show a state of confusion, which we felt illustrated the complex and confusing relationship that the characters in our narrative have. Another convention we challenged was editing, when we used a dissolved transition for a cut in our video. This is more common in a pop video, as the genre usually covers less thought-provoking topics, such as romance and partying. However, because we have explored a romantic narrative in our own video, we felt as though it would be appropriate to use this editing technique as a way to show the close relationship the two characters have. The conventional editing techniques of an alternative video were also challenged through the use of a montage. We used this to show the progression of the relationship that the two characters had and the happiness that they felt. However, this is typically seen in pop videos rather than the indie videos, as it is an editing technique which lacks focus on specific elements of a scene. A convention we challenged at the start of the video was the uses and gratifications of our video. During the romance scenes, we wanted the audience to experience a sense of escapism from their everyday lives into what appears to be an idyllic relationship. Although at the end this is not the case, it is fairly unusual for an alternative video to be perceived as a form of escapism when they are usually used as a source of information or integration. Another convention we developed was the lighting in the performance shots. Although there is usually bright contrasting lighting used on the protagonist, it is rarely ever colourful. We used colourful projected footage onto the artist so that it would contradict the narrative, causing an enigma, which is typical of an alternative video. In that way, we developed this convention. A convention which is common for all videos from all genres is the editing technique of cross-cutting between narrative and performance. We also included this in our video as we wanted the video to show the artist who sang the song, as well as providing a visual representation of the song's lyrics.
Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I feel it still. We could fight a war for peace. Give into that easy living, goodbye to my hopes and dreams.
A convention that we did develop was the use of costume. In a lot of indie music videos, the protagonist is seen wearing costume which connotes to the audience that the character is rebellious and ambitious. This is usually shown with the character wearing black heavy clothing. We challenged this further by dressing our protagonist in costume which wasn't black, but still conveyed a darker side to their character. This was particularly clear in the prison footage, where Sam wore the prisoner's costume, allowing us to show the darker side to his character whilst also challenging a convention. This made our video more engaging compared to a typical indie genre video. The convention we challenged in our music video is based off of Pink's video for her song Just Like Fire. Here we use the literal lyrics as a basis for the visuals. This is fairly uncommon in indie genre videos and more typically used in pop videos. However, we felt that by including this illustrative example of the lyrics, it might provoke the audience into pairing some other scenes of the video with the lyrics of the song. This may make it easier for the audience to understand the narrative and pay attention to it. We continuously use low-key lighting. This is consistently seen in indie videos as it is appropriate for the narratives that accompany the genre songs. For example, in the music video for Alt J's Breeze Blocks, because the topic of domestic abuse is explored, a low-key light is used to accompany the narrative. This is something we tried to replicate in our own video, using low-key lighting on the present-day clips of the protagonist to foreshadow and hint to the audience that he is not in fact the hero he seems. Another convention we used was camera movements in our video. This was particularly clear in the narrative when we used a candid shot of the protagonist walking down a hallway. Like most things associated with the alternative genre, it is a unique camera movement used very rarely. I think it worked well paired with the low-key lighting in the shot, as the eerie movement clearly showed that something might be off with the character. The convention of an unusual costume can be seen throughout the entirety of our video. We chose these not only because they suited the genre, but also because they provide a form of escapism from everyday life for the viewer. The masks that the characters wear foreshadow the upcoming events and are symbolic in that way. Naturally, bear and lions are two different species and don't cohabit. This foreshadows the end of the two protagonists' relationship. The animal masks are also symbolic of animal instincts, which become very clear during the violent scene at the end of the video. Similarly, the convention of camera movement was used during the performance in our video. Whilst other genres of music will film their artists using a tripod, alternative artists are usually filmed freehand. I think this is done to show that the artist has a slight edge to them, making them and their music more appealing. We use this in our video so that we can present the artist as a role model. This links to Dick Hebdage's theory, which suggests that people will watch videos which feature people who are similar to themselves so that they may gain further knowledge on how to become a part of that subculture. By using an unusual camera movement, we were able to present the artist as unique, which is something a viewer may relate to and identify with. Point of view shots are commonly used in pop videos so that the audience can experience the happiness that the protagonist feels. Although they are not used in alternative videos, the nature of our point of view shot, which displays something that is causing distress to a character, is typical of the alternative genre. In that way, we have developed this convention appropriately. Another convention we developed was the narrative we used. Like most indie videos, we did explore a more thought-provoking storyline, but we did still add elements typical of the pop genre to this narrative. For example, whilst most indie videos mainly focus on the domestic violence part of the narrative, as Alt J did, we also focused on the relationship before these events. We did this so that the audience could relate to the characters, making the final scene even more shocking than if we had based the whole video on that scene alone. This allowed us to explore Prop's character type of the false hero, which I think made our narrative and entire video more engaging. The style of narrative also involved a plot twist, which due to the shock factor made it more memorable.